Welcome back to the Tidarium. Hey, this is Mike. I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for January 19th, 2020, or 2020, whatever you want to call it. It's been a great week. It's been a lot of fun. And we're going to get right into this. So I'm going to start with a couple of videos that I put out this past week and some of the discussions about it and future product that's going to be coming, so it's kind of all relevant. It's all tied in. Well, first one was this RC. It says the Legends RC, and I went over the Legends RC, but I can't really do that without showing all the RCs. But I'm also excited about like an Earthrise coming up, and then there's an MMC's Azalea, and she's going to be coming. She's a different pink than any of the other ones. The other ones seem to all be sort of the same kind of pink. This one's going to be a bit different, so it's kind of a different one. I'm looking forward to it. So I've got at least 2 more RC reviews coming in the next, I don't know, 4 months, whenever these things show up, but it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to these things coming up. Also, yesterday there was a lot of discussion talking about this gravestone. It's the XTrans versions of the Motormaster, which I think is a really solid figure, and it boils down to this. People trying to make a decision between Fans Toys or XTrans or DX9. It boils down to what you want it for. What mode do you want it for? And I'm going to make another video kind of breaking all of that down, and I'm breaking it down to how you could get the cheapest one. And some people might not like my thoughts on that, but I'm going to do that too coming up when I get my DX9 and I have a little bit more insight into all 3 of these figures. But the reality of this is Fans Toys is more actually going towards the toy, and XTrans is more towards the tune. And when I get DX9, I'm going to decide the pocket it's in, but I think it's going closer to the tune. And of course, Fans Toys has a little bit more real-world aesthetic to it than maybe XTrans. But hey, give that video a watch. And lastly, Keith has watched my this isn't XTrans, this is a Cyberverse version of a Quinn Asani, and he must have watched that video because now we're seeing pictures of his heads. His heads for his Quinn Asani, and they do look nice. So this is showing something, some progress. We're getting somewhere. It's kind of exciting. This week, I have to admit, XTrans is stealing the show. It's stealing it from Fans Toys. Fans Toys usually kind of steals the show all the time at all the events and, well, every week in the news. XTrans is doing it this week. These faces look great. They're not done. I mean, this isn't completely done, but they look really good, and it just gets me excited that the project is still going. We can see the tentacles there and kind of the base of the Quinn Asani. Really awesome. But hey, you know what else is really awesome? Cup. Their cup is still on the table. Their cup is half full. I'm kind of excited. You know, I really do like the Fans Toys offering, but this is different, and it's really the only other Masterpiece Cup that we're getting or we have gotten that looks good, and it looks pretty close to tune. A lot of people really point out specifics about him, such as the way his shoulders are a little bit lower and just the way it arches and all that stuff, that it is more tune accurate. So I really can't wait to get this in hand and do a comparison. And really, this size figure coming from XTrans isn't really super expensive. It's a pretty good value, in my opinion. It's a pretty good deal. And then they did stick with the cigar gimmick that's going on there, so it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. And then the alt mode looks pretty clean, and I'm wondering how hard it's going to be to get there. Is it going to be like a lot easier than Fans Toys, as hard as Fans Toys? So that's another question, and I don't think that these are completely done. I think this is still like super prototype. The end result will not look like this. Has that metallic finish, that metallic look. I think it's going to be a little bit flatter than that. Since we're on the topic of XTrans, it appears that the release order, so the next figures coming out, are going to be Dr. Egg, the Quinn Asani, the first one coming out, and then the trailer after that, followed by Locke, or their cup, and then Virtus Springer. I've been waiting on that Springer forever. I'm surprised Cup comes out for Springer. And then the G2 Monolith possible, and then Brother Octopus. And then I'm betting Brother Octopus is actually like a different Quinn Asani. It's the Executioner, is that who that is? And then Deathsaurus, their own Deathsaurus, that'd be interesting. And then Lieutenant, so I'm not sure who exactly Lieutenant is. But anyway, would be really interesting to see all these things come to fruition. Next up in the masterpiece world of the Transformers and third party and all that stuff, we have the Zeta Superiortron. I guess this is I think this is the metallic one. This is the one with the metallic fleck. Anyway, I got pics. There's pics of this Superiortron box I found. So places are selling this for like $399, $400 for this set, which I prefer buying combiners in a set. And this is the first time this one was offered as like a set in a box that I know of. I don't know that they put the first, two versions out in a box. Maybe the second one came in a box itself, but I never saw the box for it, which is why it's kind of an interesting thing for me. And I'm a box art collector too, so that's kind of one of the things that it always catches my eye, and I get excited about this kind of things. So here's either the other side or a sleeve, but it's still, this looks like it's sort of a hand-drawn artistic inspiration of the character of the figure, so that's interesting too. And yeah, I do get a kick out of the box art. Kind of hope you guys do too. So XTrans has released some renders of their Victory Leo, which they call it a King Leo, the VO2. So they did make some Dotson brothers. They're kind of like McFan's toys, and they're the plus of the Legends size. And now this thing's going to be full-on masterpiece, even bigger than what we've gotten before, and I think it looks pretty good. Here it is with all the different modes that it has, and it comes in and stuff. Now I did pre-order this from CHUG, so when I do get it, I've got the Star Saber of theirs coming also. So when all of that comes in, ultimately my ultimate goal is to do this and to combine them, and I think it looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. I do think it's a bit stylized, but not ridiculously stylized. I think that it's slightly stylized. And the fact that this is like the Japanese continuity, so I'm really not associated with it. I'm not tied to that look and that aesthetic, is why I'm perfectly fine with veering off. And I think it's a really fun design of figure. Even the G1 itself, it was really cool with the Brainmaster and the ship and all of that stuff and all the components. It kind of takes G1 to another level that we never really saw in the US, and so it's kind of fun to kind of live that vicariously through this guy. Their Star Sabers 160, no price on this Victory Leo. So we got the Fury model G1 Optimus Prime model kits there, and the thing is, this thing looks a whole lot better in these pictures than any of the past pictures I've seen, and I have talked about this several times, but I am liking the look of it, the paint, the articulation, a lot of things that he can do. I'm not really the biggest fan of a giant pelvis thrust there, pelvic thrust there, but it's a thing that they do, and it's starting to kind of almost feel like it has MP44 level of articulation with him, and well, he should, since he doesn't transform and a lot of that, but still kind of from different angles looks even better than I initially thought he was going to look. So this thing looks pretty good. He's cost around, I think, $56. It doesn't show anymore. I think he was 56 or 60 or something like that at CHUG. CHUG is actually sold out on this guy. Might get more in stock when the pre-orders arrive, but anyway, still a really cool looking figure. So jumping down, way down to Legends, New Age has shown off some different colors of their Seekers, and I think everybody's really liking the Seekers. Now, I did a little bit of research, and there's some differences between this one and Magic Squares. We're going to get into that here in a little bit, but we got this green one right here, and then we also have the Golden Lagoon Gold Starscream. So, yeah, looking really good. And, I think New Age is doing a good job with their paint. I am really impressed with their Agamemnon, and so that, if they keep that going, that is going to be awesome. Also, this Seeker right here, we've got this kind of a bluish purple one. One thing you do have to admit is that the mold is looking pretty good, but now I'm starting to wonder, because Magic Squares are starting to ship, and I'm wondering what everyone thinks, which one will be a better set. And the reason I wonder this so much is simply because of a giant price difference that I'm seeing. So, and of course, most of my prices, well, I just keep up with CHUG because they're usually the cheapest. So a set of New Age is selling for $120, $119, and then a set of Magic Square, the same three main Seekers, is selling $74.79 or $80. So $120 or $80. There's a $40 difference. What do you get? Well, you get the difference is you get some extra parts and pieces and stands, and you get to build a part of a space bridge with the New Age. So there's part of your $40 extra is the extra bits and pieces. And with the Magic Square, it looks like you're going to get a coronation set with your Starscream. And so the difference in that, if you like all the accessories, the extra $40 might be worth it to you. If you don't, then you could get this down to a much lower price. $27 a figure, something like that. Anyway, $80 divided by 3, about $27 a figure. So depends on how you want to go. Now, the other thing is which aesthetic is preferred. Like, which one do you like better? And I know that we haven't had the Magic Square in hand, but it seems to be that New Age does a really good job with the paint apps, and so we've got that going on too. And Shozi also put up their Agamemnon replacement. It's more or less the entire leg replacement. It's the legs and the hips, and they are a replacement 12, so there's still a few left. But, and I'd get over there before they're gone. If you have Agamemnon and you want to replace his legs and get the new crotch that doesn't look all weird, it looks a little bit better, I'm going to get this. I got this coming in, and I'll be able to review it and show you. And here it is when it's combined, or, you know, when you're going to make it into the gun. So it shows the transformation part of it, and I guess a little bit of a different transformation in that whole little section. You will have to pop the feet and a few parts off of your existing Agamemnon, and they call this a replacement part or a repair part or an upgrade part. Frankly, I think this should have been something like $1 or something like that, or the Transform Element head that you got. But the reality of this is a lot more complicated, a lot more going on than what was going on with just replacing a head. So we got some pictures of boxed versions of, well, so this is supposed to be Grimlock, Toy World's Grimlock, which is based off of what we're going to see here in a second. But I don't know, it's kind of one of those things that it looks cool. I think it looks really cool. I don't think it at all looks like a G1 Grimlock, and I wouldn't pass it off as a G1 Grimlock. So it's not really a G1 Grimlock. But for the Beast Wars collectors in the Legend scale, there's not much out. We're going to get this guy here. It looks cool, so I think it's a really cool look to it. You know, there's all different colors of this guy, but what we really want is this Transmetal Megatron. So I don't know. Does it seem like the other ones are going to ship first? I don't know. I mean, I see the other ones in packaging. I don't see this guy in the packaging, so kind of confused there. But this is the one I want. This is the one I'm in for, so I'll wait. So before we get into any Chug news, I do want to say that I went on a little bit of a road trip Saturday, so I wasn't replying to comments all day. I replied to them later Saturday evening. But the reality is I was able to find a Soundwave in a Walmart in the wild for $30. Box took a little bit of a beating. It was the only one left, but I found it. So hope is still out there for those of you who are wanting to get one of these. And I think it's really cool. It just gave me that whole good feeling to find it in the wild. And I've seen them before, but at 30, it feels so much better. But then I was shocked to see this. So I did end up being able to pick up this Astro Train. The good thing is it's 40 instead of 50, but it probably should have been more like 30. Because of the size, it really should have been like $29.99. But at least they weren't trying to get 50 out of this guy like everybody was saying they were wanting 50. In fact, I think somebody even showed a receipt saying 50, and then a couple days later someone else showed a receipt with 40 or $39.99. But anyhow, I think it's an okay price. And I'm starting to think this. If you're in on these G1 reissues, I think Walmart took a bath on some of these figures. I think they really got destroyed with some of the mini bots, and I think they really got destroyed with their hot rod. So I think that they've lowered their order to probably the lowest quantity that they can order and still get a full production run made. I really think that's what's going on. I think that you're not going to see as many of these because I really didn't see a whole lot of Soundwaves. Like, they showed up and sold out, and then they were off shelves for a long time till they went on clearance. So we'll see. So there is a Kickstarter on Indiegogo projects here for a Cybertron. Now, it's more or less a half Cybertron and sticking out of the wall. And they did this with a lot of things. You kind of see it in, I guess, the bedding department at Target. Is that what you would call it? It's not really a toy. It's more of just a wall light. But anyway, it still looks pretty cool. It's going to have, I guess it's going to have this Unicron head with it. I'm not sure all the details on that. But it keeps showing this Unicron head with it. So I guess that's pretty cool too. And it's $145 to get in on it. And so it says it's like 9% off if you order it now. Maybe when it's done, they're going to sell more and they'll be $160. But it's kind of cool. It lights up. It's got some light up features to it. Maybe this is something that the HasLab Unicron could look like it's gonna start eating, or you'd maybe put the hand on this, put your Unicron hand on it, like put this on the wall and Unicron's hands on it, whatever. But maybe make for a great scene. But it does look highly detailed. I just really like how it all illuminates like that. Pretty interesting Cybertron there. So not really a whole lot going on in the CHUG world, but the truth is they've already revealed a lot of stuff with the CHUG, and a lot of things have been dropped already before Toy Fair. Like, what surprises will we have at Toy Fair? And so it's kind of nice that they kind of have a light week of CHUG so that we have something to look forward to at Toy Fair. On the other hand, it feels good also to be in the know and know stuff before it comes out. So it's kind of a catch-22 on that stuff. But anyway, there's a couple of pictures of these guys here. And so the Micromasters. And then, now, some people really get triggered when they see this. When they see parts getting added to other figures, they come off of figures or whatever. And yeah, this is kind of what they did with the Ironworks on Wheeljack there, and then we're using the little guns on Starscream. I think it's cool. I don't know if I would do this exactly, but hey, it shows you what you can do, and you know, the kids need something fun to play with, of course, right? This also shows the interconnectivity with all of this to their Siege version of Omega Supreme, and I guess they're still plugging their Omega Supreme. And their official pictures they released have a lot of pictures of their Cliff Jumper, but it doesn't make sense because there's already been a plethora of information about Cliff Jumper out, so why? That's pretty much the majority of the pictures they put out. We've already got a ton of those, so anyway, just figured I'd show you some fun pictures there. Getting into a little bit of Star Wars news, there is George Lucas holding their baby Yoda, and he's looking at it like, what is this thing? What is this? But I really would like to hear more about like what George Lucas thinks of The Mandalorian. Has he watched The Mandalorian? I'm sure he has. And it would be interesting to get his take on it. I bet you anything he likes The Mandalorian. Because I mean, if you're truly a Star Wars fan and you truly like The Mandalorian, then, well, George Lucas would probably like The Mandalorian. What do you guys think? So they revealed some artwork that's sort of to set up what the Rise of Skywalker should look like, what it's going to look like in the movie and the world and all that. And this doesn't look exactly like what I saw in the movie. And so I'm starting to think that, well, one of the story arcs that could have possibly happened, if you haven't seen the movie yet, this might be a spoiler for you, is that Rey appears in the trailer to have turned evil. And I was kind of hoping that would have happened, so, well, I thought that would have been really cool. That would have been a really cool story arc for her, and so that would have been awesome. Now, of course, Anakin turned evil and all that, but this setup really does make it look like, hey, is she going to turn evil? What's going to happen with that? And so I really like that idea and where we could have explored that idea. And, of course, Baby Yoda making the news again here. So, Disney is cracking down on bootleg Baby Yoda merchandise, and they're stopping it. First off, I want to say there's no Baby Yoda merchandise you can get at like Target and Walmart. It's not out at retail yet. I mean, there's a lot of pictures of stuff coming, but it's not out. But the cute little Mandalorian star there is demanding product. And how the bootleggers are making it before the official stuff's out, well, it's kind of knockoff merchandise. And Disney has ordered online retailer Etsy to purge all Baby Yoda items it has for sale, according to The Verge this past Friday. So that's something that was kind of interesting. Actually, my son showed me the story about it. And why don't they have merchandise out? Like, how did you not have anything Baby Yoda out before this whole Mandalorian came out? Because you know that character is one of the main characters, the one main driving points of the show, and yet there's no merchandise for it whatsoever, and not even the Black Series one yet. So in my running around on Saturday all over the place with my son. We did come across a carbonized Mandalorian. My son was super ultra ecstatic, and I think that monopolized the rest of his day. But the thing that surprised me, because I really don't open all my Star Wars figures, because I'm a mint package collector. Two things. I love the carbonized packaging. I just didn't realize why people were going ape crazy over this carbonized packaging, and it is awesome. It is amazing. I love this thing. And next to that, the figure itself is highly posable. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that's like, we talk about posability of Transformers all the time, but I don't really think that the Star Wars figures have reached that level of posability, and it really looks like he just is right in the show, aiming his weapon. My son got perfect poses with it. I was like, wow, that's a really good figure. So I'll talk a little bit about kind of what I think we're going to see at Toy Fair before Toy Fair comes. It's still another month away. And one thing we're going to see is this whole wave of Black Series figures that has Plo Koon and Kit Fisto. It looks like a little bit different of an Anakin and an Obi-Wan. And then, of course, we've got the different colored battle droid there. As a Geonosis one, I think is what they call it. And so we're going to see that. And I think that that's something that we saw a little bit of. And I haven't heard anything since they said they were going to make these. But I'm really starting to wonder the rest of the Empire Strikes Back characters. And I talked about it last week. But we're going to probably find that at Toy Fair. And it's really going to be interesting. That's kind of one of the exciting things that I would think that would be coming up, is finding out the rest of those figures. But I actually kind of predict that Toy Fair is going to have a lot more 3.75 in the vintage collection than we've seen. I really think they're going to double down on vintage collection in 2020, and hopefully they don't end it. Like, I hope it keeps going. Because really, the vintage collection is the only thing keeping 3.75 alive, and it's barely alive, even though I think the vast majority of old school collectors prefer this scale. It's also funny that all of the figures that have already been made recently in 6-inch are now getting made in 3 3/4 inch, and then vice versa. A lot of 3 3/4 inch figures are getting made into 6-inch, but that's one of the things that we're going to be seeing all of these figures for the Mandalorian coming to the 3.75 in the vintage collection, which actually I'm more excited for than any of the new movie figures that they put on the 3.75 vintage collection, because this feels more like it belongs in the vintage collection. So I'm starting to wonder what ships are going to put out, because they're going to have some vehicles. If you maintain the 3.7-inch line, you're going to have some vehicles, you're going to have some play sets. What are they going to make? I really think that the Razor Crest is something that's on the table. It's a possibility, but I don't know if we had enough time from The Mandalorian being a hit to Toy Fair for them to actually decide that's going to be a product on the table, but it would probably make sense that this is something that's in the planning. And when I say prediction, I always say prediction as this is just my guessing or hoping to guess for, and of course news, predicting in news. But wouldn't it be cool if we saw a land speeder for either scale? First of all, they did remake the land speeder, it made them smaller. The thing is really expensive now, and it would actually be one of the most feasible Black Series vehicles to be made. Even more feasible, in my opinion, than making an X-Wing. It would be, in the $60 price range. And they seem to always want to include a driver. They don't really need to, because they have such a plethora of drivers out with the Archive Wave, and now they've got, was it Wedge Antilles? Is that who it is? And maybe they'll put a Dax out. Dax! But anyway, that would be my prediction for a vehicle with Black Series, or 3.75. So let me know what you think about this week's Weekly News and Review. Is there any other news that you heard or saw this week that you thought was really awesome, really great? Please share it with me in the comments down below. And like and subscribe. Tydirium Hanger out.